everyone. Namaste. It's me, Ganesh Adhikari Khatri, from Department of Agriculture Economics. Here, my research questions is my topic of presentation. Well, now I want to start my presentation. Introduction. Before going to the research question, I want to describe some background about the research and the questions. Well, research means source of knowledge. Simply, it is the process of discovering the new knowledge, and it is the source of knowledge through objective and systematic method of finding the solution to the problem. Well, we are familiar about the question. That's question is an interpretive form addressed to someone in order to get information in reply. Well, let's go to our topic, research question. Research question is defined as the question that a research project sets out to answer. Well, in every research project or research seeks a result, and um, that results that we get or achieved is actually the answers of the research question. It is a broader question around which a whole research project or significant part of the project study or revolves. In other words, the primary aim of the research um, project or study is to find the answer of the research question. Now let's talk about type of research question: quantitative, qualitative, mixed, descriptive, relational, comparative, casualty. Uh, these are the type of research question. Now let's talk about individually. Quantitative research question: quantitative study seeks to learn where or when. So the researcher must directed in determining the where or when of the research topic. For example, where should the company target to market its new product? What proportion of Nepalese aged 55 to 75 use popular social media sites? These are the example of quantitative research question. This research question seeks the answers in numeric form or in quantitative form. Now, another type of research question is qualitative research question. Qualitative study seeks to learn why or how. Research must be directed in determining what, why, and how of the research topic in qualitative study. For example, how did the company successfully produce its new product? How do Nepalese aged 55 to 75 use social media? This type of questions answers in qualitative form. That's why this type of questions are known as the qualitative research question. Another is mixed type of research question. Mixed study integrates both qualitative and quantitative studies. So the writer research must be directed at determining the how or why and the what, where, or when of the research topic. Now, let's talk about the descriptive research question. It is used when a study is designed primarily to describe what is going on or what exists. Usually starts with what is, are, how many, how often, how frequently. For example, how many government employees are satisfied with their work? This is the descriptive research question. Yeah, example of the descriptive research question. Well, relational research question. When a study is designed to look the relationship between the two or more variables, just usually starts with what is the relationship between justices. For example, what is the relationship between government employee and economic growth? Here, this question seeks to answer the relationship between the government employee and economic growth. That's why it's called the relational research question. Another example we can see there, what is the relationship between the age and income of professor? Here, the variables age and income. Yeah, age and income. This relationship of age and income is shown or is set from this question. That's why this is the example of the relational research question. Likewise, relational research question look the relationship between the two or more variables. Now, another type of research question is comparative research question. This type of the research question focuses on difference between the groups. Usually starts with what is the difference in between dash dash dash. Typically, there is only one independent variables, usually with two labels. Yeah, two labels in independent variables and one dependent variables. Let's be clear from the example. What is the difference in work efficiency between public and private sector employee? Another example is what is the difference between vaccine A and vaccine B in protecting from COVID-19 infection? Well, in Second example, we can see that vaccine A and vaccine B are independent variables with two labels. Yeah, vaccine A, vaccine B. And here COVID-19 infection is dependent variables. This type of comparison or this type of the questions are called the comparative research question. Well, I hope you are clear about it. Now let's talk about the causality research question. When a study is designed to determine whether one or more variables, that is a program or treatment variable, cause or affects one or more outcome variables, usually start with what is the effect of dash dash dash. eh? How do dash differ from dash in dash? For example, what is the effect of alcohol consumption on decision making? Here, alcohol consumption is the cause and decision making is the effect. Um, and another question, how do those offered bonus for completing a project differ from those offered recognition in job satisfaction scores? Well, in this type of the question, one is cause and another is the another variable, is the its effect. Um, that's why this type of the research question are causality research question. Now, let's talk about some. There are some things to be considered before forming the research question. We must determine what type of study will be conducted, such as qualitative, quantitative, or mixed study. Yeah, research question may be differ from the type of the study we conducted. Factors such as the project funding, places, and process of formulation during the research process also should be considered before forming the research question. Well, development of the research question with supportive hypothesis and objective is necessary for producing relevant results. So you should have to consider the hypothesis, or we should have to study or discuss about the hypothesis and objective of the study while forming or before forming the research question. Okay, research questions should be the characteristics of research questions are it should be interesting, it should be focused on a single problem or issue. That means it should be clear. Researchable research questions should be researchable using primary and or secondary sources. Yeah? It should be feasible to answer within the time frame and practical constraints. It should be specific enough to answer thoroughly. It also should be complex enough to develop the answer over the space of a paper or thesis. Well, okay, it should be specific enough, it should be complex enough, it should be relevant to the field of study and our society more broadly. Well, there is some method of selecting the criteria in the development of research question. In Farrugia and his co-authors describe about the final criteria. Here, according to the final criteria, F means feasible. That means while selecting the research question should be feasible, adequate number of subjects, adequate technical expertise, affordable in time and money, manageable in scope. Now, another is interesting. Yeah, it should be interesting. A research question should be interesting. Getting the answer that fascinate the investigator, peers, and the community. Okay, it should be novel. Research question should be novel. It should be ethical, and it should be relevant to scientific knowledge, to clinical and health policy, to future research. Now, research hypothesis and research question, there is a relationship between the research hypothesis and research question. Primary research question in project should be driven by the hypothesis rather than the data. That's why the research question, while you formulate the research question, it is driven from the research hypothesis. So a good research question is driven from the research hypothesis. Okay. Now, to conclude my presentation, development of research question is most important aspect of research project. Without a good research question, we cannot get the good result. A research project can fail if the research questions are formulated without studying the objective and hypothesis of our research project. That's why research objective and research hypothesis are important in formulating the research question. Designing and developing an appropriate and relevant research question lead to success of research project. Critical appraisal of research question used in a study is important for application of findings. Sorry. Research questions should be formulated as a type of research selected. What type of research we select, particularly the research question should be formulated in that way. Research questions have a guiding role for effective implementation of project. Overall, we can conclude that research question seeks to answer the result or answer the questions of the entire result of the project. That's why it's important to derive the good research question for the successful project research, or for the success of the research. Well, that's the end of my presentation. There is one saying: the art and science of asking question is the source of all knowledge, by the Thomas Berger. Then we should have the habit of asking the question to improve our knowledge or to get the good result. Thank you, everyone. And I hope and I expect the positive comments and suggestions about my presentation. Thank you.